So first and foremost, the topic that we always found ourselves talking about was, of course, restaurants. Specifically, we'll hit up McDonald's here in a second, but Chipotle. And back when we did our little deal, comps were in the mid-teens.
Oh yeah,
all the time.
Town. Absolutely, CMG. It was Chipotle was the fast casual restaurant chain of the future, and everyone wanted to be them. I actually looked up the numbers. It was very simple to see.
Do you deal with numbers anymore? I'm kidding.
A little bit. I'm more of a people person now. But the stock is down 30% since April 26, 2015, just to give you an idea of how far the mighty have fallen since you and I last talked about Chipotle. And obviously, we could go over all the different issues that it's had over the last couple of months with the health stuff, the norovirus,
the poison cilantro,
the E. coli. But it was actually funny taking this trip back down memory lane. I had kind of forgotten about the fact that for 9 months there, Chipotle wasn't selling carnitas. You guys remember that? Like, no one talks about the carnitas issue anymore, mainly because it seems relatively small compared to E. coli. It's understandable. Right. But when I was thinking about it, I was taking a look back at the charts, and you can see how once Chipotle stopped selling carnitas, there's really only a small dip in the charts. It really didn't affect the company all that much in terms of sales and in terms of just share price as well, which is really weird to me. Thinking back on it now, at the time when we talked about it, we just kind of shrugged it off. But it's like for 3/4 of a year, the company wasn't selling one of its main food ingredients, and nothing happened to Chipotle. Nothing adverse affected the stock at all. And I think a large part of that had to do with goodwill. I think we always talked about that too, about how Chipotle, like we said, it was all the way up here. It's the food with integrity. Everyone wants to be Chipotle. Everyone wants their food to have integrity. One day Chipotle finds out their carnitas don't have integrity, and so they stop selling them. And people, instead of punishing the stock for losing sales because it's not selling carnitas, they praise the stock because the goodwill is so thoroughly embedded in that company. Food with integrity, they're sticking with their guns, they're not selling carnitas, it's for the benefit of everybody. And then E. coli struck, and now we're down 30% in the last 12 months.
They're trying to make good on it because they actually, because we went a couple of weeks later because they're giving away free burritos, but when did they actually close every store for like a day so they could have a company-wide meeting and all that stuff? And now, I was preparing the notes for the show. I don't have a ton, but now they said we're going to lose about $1 a share this quarter.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it is staggering the difference that's happened there.
Well, a big part of the swing, too, is the carnitas thing that you mentioned. That's preemptive. And that's something that they basically had control over. They decided rewarded. No longer to offer that. In this case, with the E. coli outbreak, they had no control over that. Like, once the sicknesses started being reported and the CDC got involved, the press will take that and gladly run with it. And once the CDC wrapped up their investigation, they said, they could never even find the source, right? Because Chipotle, frankly, has a lot more fresh ingredients than your average, like, quick service
restaurant. It's actually harder to control, so yeah.
So, you combine that fact, but, once the CDC did actually end their investigation, it's not like, it was on the front page of these different media websites where they're announcing, oh, it's okay again. So Chipotle now, what you mentioned with the town hall, when they closed for those 5 hours on that day, it was in February. Now they're trying to lure everybody back in. So they mentioned actually they had 5.3 million requested free burritos because they gave that rain check offer. And they're actually...
I would think that 300,000 of those were actual legitimate ruined lunch plans.
Well, I would say there's probably maybe like a quarter of those actually distinct people, and a lot of others were like people trying to double up.
What are you, crazy? You think E. coli is going to scare me away from a free Chipotle burrito?
Well, I was going to add, I don't think anybody at this table stopped going there.
Heck no. Absolutely.
It was nice because for once I didn't have to wait in line.
It's a shorter line. This is great. Well, and these people in my building, I ran into a friend of mine in the lobby, and he was like, "Oh, did you hear they're closing all the Chipotles forever because of E. coli?" I'm like, the company is fine.
Well, the company is fine. I think deep down, the long-term growth of the company is still pretty assured. Obviously, so Chipotle reports earnings, I think today.
Yes,
actually,
they do after the close.
Later today, yeah. So there's going to be a lot to watch there. Analysts are expecting huge drops in revenue and even smaller ones in EPS. I think the main thing to watch, and you both touched on it with the free burritos, Chipotle is doing everything in its power to lure customers back to their stores. We might be joking around about how E. coli is not scaring us off from our burritos, but it scared a lot of people off.
Right.
And they've been spending so much money to bring those people back with free burritos days. Think about how much money you lose countrywide if you close all of your stores for 5 hours. You think 5 hours, that's nothing, but that adds up. So I'm thinking this quarter we're going to see a lot of drops. I really just want to see, like I said before, the goodwill return to this company. I think once it regains customers' trust, then I think you're going to see the numbers tick back up. I think Chipotle still has a lot of long-term growth ahead of it. I think people will trust it once more sometime in the future. Probably not tomorrow. Probably not till the CDC gives it the all clear one last time. But no, I'm not worried about Chipotle over the long term.
I'm also curious to see, before we move on to talking about the Golden Arches here, but I'm also going to see if they're going to keep buying back their stock. They actually bought back $787 million worth of shares between November 1st and March 14th at an average price of $493 a share, so not quite profitable yet. They're at $440, but...
yeah, but you got to keep in mind, too, that during their peak, in August of last year, I think it was, they were trading over $750.
Yeah, this is a bargain. This is great.
For them, that could be seen as a very wise allocation of their resources. And so, those vouchers, by the way, which my brother managed to collect 15 of them in his apartment building, and he's gradually going through them. They sent out 21 million of those in stages.
Oh, wow.
But they only, the direct mailers, they only see their redemption rate of about 30%, call it. So
that's it? Really?
Yeah. So whereas the digital one, where the 5.3 million rain checks during the town hall, they see like a 60-70% redemption rate. So a lot of money is being spent on the promotions for sure, but whether or not they, how much they lose actually in terms, it's not like they're giving away 26 million free burritos.
If any of you listeners out there have an unredeemed coupon, please mail to Full Headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia.
Just pass them along
care
to your
of
brother.
Sean O'Reilly.
You'd start stacking them all up. 15?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
that's
people
great.
just throw them away.
30% redemption rate.
5 days of meals. It's 3 square Chipotle meals a day.
Exactly.
In fact, if you get the bowl, you can make 2 meals out of that.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Thrifty.